Okay.
I would like to say I'm really grateful for this recognition. It was a wonderful almost 10 years of my life that I treasure. I have the yearbooks from it. I talk about it a lot, and I just loved it. I thoroughly felt that I was doing what I was meant to do, and I am incredibly flattered that there are people that remember me after all these years. The other thing about when I moved to Florida, I went to a guidance counselor, and I didn't work for about a year. I just lived in a boat and played around. And when I was down to my last $1,000, I should never tell this to people who do investments. It makes me look like a fool. But when I was down to my last $1,000, I went to a guidance counselor, or a job counselor, and I plopped it down, and I said to him, find me a job I like. And he said, okay. He's an old man. And he went through his Rolodex. Remember Rolodexes? Mm-hmm. And pulled out a number, talked to me for about 20 minutes or so first. And he put it down, and he said, go call this, make an appointment, and get down there and interview. And I got the job.
What was the job?
The job was training retarded people on what quarters were and maybe how to write part of your name or that sort of thing. He asked what I had done in Philadelphia, and I told him I taught in a Quaker school, and I taught really, really bright kids. And I said, maybe it's time to do something different. He said, did you like teaching? I said, yeah, I loved it. And that's when he gave me this number. So I went from teaching kids who went to Harvard, Yale, a couple applied to Oxford. I mean, these were smart kids, to teaching people who didn't know what a quarter was and they were 42 years old. But the principles were the same. Things I loved teaching was a course called historiography. Historiography is the study of how history is written. Mm. And when you've got kids as smart as the kids that go to Friends Select, it's very hard to present anything unique to them. So when I would say, "Oh, I have this course I want to teach," and what is it? Well, it's how history is written. Well, you write in the facts, man. And no, you don't. You always have a point of view. And then I would go through and I would list all the different kinds of points of view that historians have, whether it's Marxist or a political historian or socio-economic historian or a feminist historian or an Afro-American, and I would just go through the whole list. And then I would give examples of how each one had written behind their point of view. And then after a while, after you would finish teaching it, you'd see this sort of dazed look come over a kid's face, like, well, then what's history? What's real? You know, what's the truth?
And aren't we fighting that today?
Sure.
I mean, with Texas and
yes,
who gets to write the
who gets to write the history? and that's one of the things that I really wanted to get across to kids. That you know, you need to look below the surface. You need to look who's writing this stuff, and what is the point of view they're taking. What facts aren't you hearing? What are the different kinds of people that they're quoting, and who are the ones they aren't quoting? So that I love that course because it made kids think, made everybody think. And it helped me too, because when you're teaching history, you have to be really aware of what are you putting out there.
Right, the perspective that
Sure.
it's coming from. Absolutely.
And then I taught a course called Her Story, not his story.
Her story.
Her story. I still have the textbook from it. was a feminist historical textbook. History from the point of view of women. I know it's odd to have a man do that, but no one else was doing it. So I did it. I also taught Afro-American history. So I'm allowed. But I taught, and that was a fun course to teach. And then, of course, the other one, of course, was the Précis.
Ah,
I never saw so many kids work so hard in all my life.
oh God, yes.